What's going on, everybody? Thought I'd go with the dramatic entrance music today. Super excited for this one. If you caught last week's live, we got into a little bit of a case study with Ryan Escalera, owns a marketing agency, AMJ Digital, and has been using this particular technique that we're going to talk about going out there and selling some website deals. So we're going to follow up on that with a lot more of the kind of like sales and technical training today on how do you land some fast cash and how do you land some clients that can maybe even pay you kind of like a residual on a monthly basis for some of these website deals. So what's up, Robert, Carlos, Steven, Omar? Great intro. Awesome. Thanks. Glad you love it. Do me a favor. If you're joining us from Facebook, whether it's the Facebook group or in the training group, make sure you head to facebook.com/StreamYard. I'm sorry, StreamYard.com/Facebook to authorize StreamYard so that when I see your comments, I can bring those up on screen. If we have some questions we got to answer, make sure you do that. What's up, Robin? Prab, Erica, how's it going? All my friends and fam in the house. I love it. Awesome. Well, we're gonna get right into it today. Now, depending on where you're joining us from, there are some bonuses and some links that I added to the description of the post that you can check out. Please try not to get distracted and skip ahead to that, but I wanted to drop those in there so that after the training is done and anybody watching the replay, it's going to be easy to grab all that stuff. Want to let you know too, you can head over to snaps.ai/YT for YouTube. That will take you over to our YouTube channel. And I would ask that, if you're not joining us from YouTube, head over there, do us a favor and subscribe and look specifically for this video. The title of it's Landing Website Deals with Free Tools. So look for that particular video, give it a thumbs up. And then you'll find also all the links to the bonuses and things that we're going to be talking about, some of the tools that we're talking about here in this training in the description of that particular video. Let's see, we got all kinds of people jumping in. Okay, cool. So I'm gonna get right into it because I don't want to waste any time here. I want to get to the point and show you guys really like how do we use this tool that we got with Snaps to go out there and land website deals. I've landed a lot of website deals in my day. I've bidded on some really big ones that I've got, others that I haven't, and have kind of learned a lot through just all those kind of chances at bat. The agency I came from, in fact, we had originally gotten our start doing just that, building websites at the time for advisors and things, and then moving on into lead generation and other services. And now on the other side of things, and actually I was, even before that, I was a beta tester for one of like the early Flash web builder programs. If anybody remembers Flash, probably have like a little bit of PTSD from Flash websites, but long gone are those days. Now I'm on the other side of things, and obviously we've got this platform for you that we're trying to make the best tools possible, specifically for agencies and digital marketers and lead generators and local business out there. And I think Snaps really is that tool. And I know it is because, everything that we're doing kind of behind the scenes, even in preparation of some of these changes coming with Google here, the middle of the summer, that we've already been anticipating and working with our dev partners on to, the features, the tools, all that kind of stuff that we build in, even just to some of the training and support that we provide y'all. And so this is, Susan says, how's sleep deprivation going? No stopping. No, there is no stopping me, Susan. Absolutely not. When there are a lot of you, and I aim to serve. I get no more excitement, or maybe that's the wrong way to say it. I get a lot of excitement out of seeing y'all win and kind of land businesses and land new deals. And that's what today is going to be kind of all about. So when it comes to website builds, it used to be kind of back in the day, you had to have a coder, a developer, You had to be super technical to get websites up and running. I remember building some of my first websites, as a kid on like the GeoCities platform, and kind of learning a little bit of HTML here and there. And you had to be super technical back in the day to build a website. Now you have a lot of options for building out sites. But it's really funny because you find a lot of business owners are still kind of like stuck on that, like, oh shoot, I still got to go pay. If I want something really killer, I'm still going to have to go pay a designer or a developer a lot of money, to get that build done. And so there is that kind of resistance there, and you'll find a lot either just don't do it, or the websites that they put up, especially in some of these kind of local niches, maybe aren't that great and could use even just with a little bit of elbow grease. To you, it might feel like it's not a whole lot of work, but to them, it's a big deal, because the little bit of work and the things that and all the kind of paces that you've gone through, whether it's, training that you've done, even if you're kind of like newer to this kind of, internet business or site building or anything like that, the knowledge that you have is really important. In fact, there's a story of the plumber, right, who comes out, does a house call, 5-6 minutes, under the sink, has his hammer. He's like, tapping on the pipes a couple different times. It's like, oh, yep, found your problem, fixes the leak, less than 10 minutes in and out of the house, sends a bill for like $400. And the homeowner's freaking out. Like, you were only here for 10 minutes. Like, what, like $400? That's crazy. Most, he's like, I only make, 15 an hour. And he goes, okay. He updates the invoice, and he says, all right, $15 an hour times the 10 minutes I was there, it was like 5 minutes or whatever for the time that I spent. And the other $395 was for knowing where to tap the hammer. Right. So it's the same kind of thing in this business model. So it's kind of knowing where to tap that hammer. And those are kind of some of the things I'm going to show you today. But we're going to get into what does it actually take to kind of go find one of these website deals to bring some cash into the door, into your business, without having to like pay for any tools. Snaps, you can sign up for a free Snaps account. And there are some things that we do with Snaps that allow you to kind of mock up, like create a site and get rolling with something. And you can hold on to that for a little bit of time, at least, and share that, kind of demo your services to a business owner, kind of results in advance, before you actually have to publish and fork over any money to actually, make that site live. So we're going to show you some of that. But really, it originally all starts with RL says, I've personally met that plumber. Yeah, no, man, we just had a handyman at our house for like 3 days straight. And it was the most amazing thing in the world, because we had like the longest list of to-dos that we've been trying to get done on the house now for like 2 years. And I was finally like, all right, like, let's bring the guy in. And Jason, actually 2 Jasons, like knocked out the whole entire list inside of 3 days. And I'm like, well worth the money to get rid of the, like, kind of the time and the heartache that it would have taken me to get all that stuff done. So the first most important thing when we're looking at this kind of a process is going to be prospecting, and actually, where do you find these deals to begin with? And I would argue that you actually are probably going to want to start there, and not necessarily with the actual technical of like going and like mocking up the site first. In fact, I was messaging with a guy in one of our groups earlier today. His name's Alex, and he was talking about this same kind of idea, because he's actually sold some website deals doing the same process that I'm about to show you. And his advice, having done it, himself as well too, for his agency and his business, was like, hey, don't spend a whole lot of time, working on these sites and mocking things up and whatnot, because we all know that, business owners can be flaky. And a lot of times too, it's not even that they have bad intention. It's just that they're also busy trying to run their business. And so you have to, if you're going to make this sale of, hey, you need a new website or you need an updated website, then you're going to have to kind of like work past that resistance, but also at the same time, you don't want to be spinning your wheels. So it's going to start with finding your customer. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here, because I've got a couple of things for you. Now, in last week's stream, I shared a couple of places that you can go to find clients for this kind of a deal. And the first place that I really like to start is somewhere like Facebook. I'm a big fan of going where the customers already are. And I think I had mentioned, I'm part of this, Inspirata neighborhood group in here. And in these kinds of groups, you have people asking questions and for referrals all the time. Um, which one of you Karens complained about golf carts to HPD? That's funny. So you got your typical cat photos, but then you're going to have people who are asking for referrals and recommendations. There you go. I need a notary. Anyone here a notary and available tomorrow afternoon or early? And what I would do is I would kind of open up these comments here and Deanne. So Deanne looks like she might be a notary. And then this other person, Jeff Grijalva, also a notary. And what I've done for y'all is I've actually put together a little template. So again, this link is in the description of this post, or if you're joining us from somewhere else and you're not seeing that description, you can head to snaps.ai/YT. Look for this training replay, and all the links would be in that description there. But this this prospecting list template, you can come in here. I see a bunch of you are in here right now. Just go ahead, go to File, and make a copy. Yeah, make a copy right here. Make a copy that into your own drive, and you can use something as simple as this. Now, I know a lot of you already have kind of maybe some CRM systems, your own organizational structure, but these are kind of like the bare minimum things that I would want to be doing. And I like to kind of like batch this stuff where I'm going to make my list first. That's probably going to be the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to go and I'm going to find, okay, who am I going to reach out to rather than just kind of like ad hoc, throwing lines out in the water, kind of at random. I'm going to be strategic about what I'm doing. And so I'm actually going to go ahead and then start dropping some information into this template. So I actually had started one over here. So we'll take back over here to this Facebook group, right? So I've got Jeff can likely help you, and then Deanne. So what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to go hover over Deanne's profile here, and I'm going to click to open her main profile and see if I can see anything like a website promoting her business or anything like that. Usually on these like Facebook type posts, you're not going to. And so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to copy this Facebook URL and I'm going to drop that into instead of the website, I'm going to drop that in here. And again, this person's name was Deanne Benton. And then I'm just going to make a note to myself that, yeah, I found her, in the Inspirata Facebook group. And, if I really wanted to take it a whole other step further, I could, I could do a quick screenshot of this as well too. I'm a fan of that for kind of like jogging my memory sometimes about where I found something. So, take a quick screenshot and then pop that over here into my notes. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start making a list. So you can see I've actually got a couple of other things that I already have added here into the group. There was a post where people were asking about AC repair. And so they're saying, hey, can anyone recommend a good AC repair company? And people in the comments put these two companies' names. And this is going to be amazing, right? So get this. So if you go to, the first one was Sunrise. And so I'm going to do a search for Sunrise HVAC, Henderson, Nevada, which is where this business is located. Do a search for it. I found their website and I click on their website and guess, oh no, actually it did work. Okay, last time it was broken. Interesting. I was gonna say before it was like a totally broken link, which is kind of like, you're looking for something where there might be a problem or a room for improvement, somewhere that you can come in and add value, not in a grammar police sort of way and like hey, I noticed that your thing is broken, you should fix it. But like, hey, I noticed your thing was broken, I made this mock-up for you and fixed it. But here, we found the link to this local business, so I dropped that into my sheet. Same thing for this other one, Desert Air. Then there was on that same post, there was an individual that had reached out and said, hey, so-and-so just shot you a DM. So I'm like, oh, that's interesting. So then I went to this guy's page right? Just to see like, okay, is he kind of like the notary? Is he a business owner or whatever? He's a professional cat herder, but obviously he does something with HVAC because he reached out, right? So, at a bare minimum, I can go ahead and reach out, and I'm going to show you kind of some scripts and things here in a second that I would use to start reaching out to people like this. But I would 100% work within your, what we would call kind of like your warm market, and whether that is your warm market of people that you actually know. So like I have a friend on here. Please don't contact him. He's a good friend of mine. He does a bunch of our landscaping, and we're helping him out. But I would put Jakob on this list as well too, right? Because he's a local landscaper. He's got his site here. It's pretty basic. He gets a lot of referral business, and so we're going to help him with his website. He just has this kind of like one-page website, right? So this is a really easy one for me to kind of help him improve. So I would start with your warm market of like obviously the people that that have some sort of business, and then something I call your assumed warm market. So this is still like the community that you're doing business in. So I live in Bend, Oregon. We've got businesses in Las Vegas and Henderson, Nevada as well too. So even though I don't live there, right, I have I do business in that community, and so I'm kind of like, I feel like I'm kind of a part of it. So you can actually be kind of a quote unquote member of some of these different communities and geographic areas. And so I would make your list this way. That's a couple of places I would start. I would start in Facebook. I would start with your warm market. Another place I would look. This is pretty straightforward, guys. This is not rocket science. Head over to Craigslist. I went to Ben Craigslist jobs. So I'm looking for people, companies that are hiring employees, hiring contractors. And I literally am just going to search website design, or I'm just going to search website. And I had found a couple. They're right up the top. The first one, MailChimp website designer. Let me click on this. I am doing a MailChimp campaign for my business. I need someone with content and creativity. I have a lavender farm and wish to sell lavender essential oil, hydrosol, da, 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 da. There you go. You have a lead that's literally asking for this help. Now, you don't have a whole lot of information to go off of, other than the fact that they have a lavender farm. They want to sell their lavender essential oil, so they want to sell something with their site. You could take this information and some of the amazing templates that we have inside of Snaps, mock something up, and when you reply, say, hey, obviously I would need a whole lot more information about your business, but it sounds like you're doing some really cool things. I would love to help you with this. Rather than just showing you my portfolio, I started to mock something up with you. Like, here it is, check it out. So there's one right there. The next one, need website posting help. Hey, looking for someone in the Bend, Redmond area only. So obviously if you're outside of the area, like, don't, I mean, shoot, you can always send something in and be like, hey, I know you said this only, but I mocked this up for you. No harm, no foul either way. But to help me get a website up for my food truck launching very soon. So again, this is another one where what I would probably do, I would take this post, I would drop this into my list over here, and I'm just going to say, Bend food truck. And then obviously I'll update this as I get more information on it. I'll kind of use this just as my way to kind of like keep track of all these deals. Now I did add a status column in here for you guys. So if it's empty, it means I haven't contacted him yet. But as soon as let's say I submit a reply to that Craigslist ad, I'm going to go ahead and hit contacted. So then I can see, where I'm at with all of these. It's like, I reach out to this person. They said they're not interested. I'm not going to, probably follow up with them later at some point, whereas, maybe these ones, it's like, all right, we went through, we contacted them. We're now kind of working the deal. Once you get to that point where it's like, oh, now we're not just talking about whether we should work together or not. It's like putting together deal terms, or like a scope of work. That's when I would change it to closing. And then obviously you're either going to close them or you're not. And then I would just kind of keep track of things this way. So I'm going to pop into the comments here real quick and see if you guys have any questions so far on building your list. But step one, the first thing that I would do when you are looking to bring in some fast cash with these web builds is build your list. That is the first thing. You have to build your list of who you're going to be reaching out to. And I would make that list as long and deep as possible, and get it out quick too. Don't spend a ton of time on your, like, you don't need to go down all these crazy rabbit holes, but see how quickly you can get 50, 60, 100 names on a list that you can start reaching out to. Because I can tell you, if you're in a spot right now where like money's funny, you're crunched for cash, you need money to invest in your business, this is 100% the kind of work that you should be focusing on, going out there and getting customers, finding customers. I'll tell you, this is when I started one of my first businesses, which was a wedding photography business. That was the very first thing that I did. I just knew I had to get out there and start taking photos of people, whether they were paying me or not. I had to get out there so they would start sharing my name with other people who were getting married and engaged. And it worked great. You know, the first couple, in fact, the very first 2 photo shoots that I booked, I said, hey, I'm going to shoot these completely for free. If you want to book us to photograph your wedding, we would love it. But there's no obligation. You know, there's no obligation. You don't have to book us. I would love to just take some photos of you. If you like the experience, you can go ahead and book us. We did that twice. One of those couples did actually book us. The other one didn't, but hey, I got some experience out of it. And then from there, it kind of like snowballed into referrals. And what would happen with that very first client who booked us, I took that money that they gave me for their deposit for their wedding, and I bought a couple of camera lenses. The next job that I booked, I bought a computer. And that was started to be, I wasn't taking any money out of the business. In the beginning, all the money that I was generating from these kind of like fast cash type of deals and like family photo sessions and retainers and things was going back into the business. And so I would look at this kind of work the same way, where I know a lot of you that are joining us are in this kind of business of creating some digital assets that you would own that might pay you, you know, over the long haul. But usually that stuff's a little bit more of a slow burn. And so you need a little bit of cash to be able to invest, to maybe pay a content writer to write your content for those sites, or to pay for the hosting or your Snap subscription, to go out there and get some backlinks, those kind of things. So this can be a great way, but it starts with building your list. So that is step 1. If you got any questions on building your list, go ahead and pop them in the comments, and we'll get rolling. But yeah, David's got it exactly right. Batch it, compile a long list, and then reach out. So if you strike out, you just move. I'm just gonna move this down just a tad. You just move down the list. And that's exactly how you do it. You don't want to be stuck having a short list. The worst thing in the world is to have a short list, because you get super hung up on just like one deal, whether it's going to go or not go. And I've been there. So you don't want a short list. But yep, list first. Let's see. Andrew has a great question. Do you reach out as you find them, or make the list first and then reach out after? I would batch it together. I would batch it. So I would start by, making that list first. Obviously, if you have any incoming leads, you have anybody contacting you, those are like gold. I would respond immediately, no matter what, any time of day or night, to take care of those leads. But if it's someone who doesn't know you're going to be reaching out yet, I would prefer to make that long list, or at least in kind of batches, like go and, I'm a fan. If any of you have heard of the Pomodoro technique, it's this idea of 25 and 5-minute intervals. So you work for 25 minutes and then you take a short 5-minute break, and you do 4 intervals. 4 intervals is 1 Pomodoro. That's 2 hours. And it's just kind of proven psychologically, physiologically, like to be a really good kind of like pattern to get work done in, because otherwise you can give yourself a task and it can kind of expand, and 4 hours later you're like, wait, I have 3 people on my list. What just happened? Whereas if you sit down, let's say, like, okay, I'm gonna do 2 Pomodoros. I'm gonna do 2 25-minute stints with a 5-minute break in between, and my goal is gonna be to get 40 names onto a list, ready to go. And you set that timer, and then you go for it, and you're all in kind of like research mode, finding the prospects. And then maybe the second 2 Pomodoros, you're like, okay, now I'm gonna start doing some outreach. I'm gonna start making some touch points. But that's how I prefer to do it. And that's why I like having something like this Google Sheet that I shared, where I can quickly kind of like keep myself organized. It doesn't have to be overly complex, but keep myself organized. How do you handle responses? I have enough work from referrals and don't need a website. Move on. Yeah, no, great question. I mean, and that's where, some of the questions that I've got. In fact, I'll show that next. Let me pull up my screen again here. So one of the other docs that I shared with you, and we are going to be adding to this, is some prospecting scripts. In fact, I'm going to throw a call out into the group. If you're in our training group, or our local lead gen training group, I would ask that you, we'll figure out how do we want to collect these. Probably have you just post it in the comments. Let's see if we do it by the end of the week. So today is Wednesday, April 21st. So Thursday, Friday, the 23rd. So midnight, Friday, April 23rd. Share your best like prospecting, like interest gathering script that you might use, and make sure you let us know, what kind of prospect you're using this with. That's the context is always helpful. So like if our friend Mike Marin, who trains on cold email and cold email prospecting, the way you reach out to someone through cold email might be different than someone who you found through a community Facebook group, different than someone that you found on Craigslist. But go ahead and share that in the comments, and we'll pick a couple of winners. We'll give you something awesome. But we're going to be adding to this. So, Steven's question, how do you handle those kinds of responses? So that's why I like this idea of having conversation driving questions. So I'm a big fan in any sort of sales conversation, asking questions. So, one of the approaches I've got down here is this kind of direct approach. Hey, Joe, I'm a fellow Bend business owner, and I noticed you might have a website, might be due for a refresh. Hey, I put together a mock-up for your site to show you what we might be able to do for you. Where's the best place for me to send this, right? So you're asking kind of his permission, like, hey, I already did this thing for you. Where should I send it? Rather than just like sending it out of the blue, I prefer to like get their permission first. Seth Godin talks about this all the time, permission marketing. You're getting their permission to market to them. Plus, this also gives you the opportunity to not actually have to go and build that mock-up first until you get the green light on it. Because to Steven's point, you might say, hey, I got enough referrals. I don't need a website right now. In which case, depending upon where I'm at in business, and like how closely connected I am to this business owner, is going to determine whether or not it's worth it for me to kind of continue pushing forward. There was somebody who was asking the other day about what was it? Oh, it was that they wanted to sell this business owner leads. So they have some websites, some lead generation websites that are generating leads, and they would prefer to, sell the business owner those leads that they're already generating, but the business owner is asking for a website. So it was kind of flipped. It was the other way around, right? And my advice was like, sell them a website. They're asking for a website, sell them a website. It may sound obvious, and I know I kind of chuckle a little bit, but the most important thing, especially when you're starting any new relationship with a customer, with a business owner, is finding out what they actually want, what they actually need. Sometimes those things are different. Sometimes you might come in and it might be super obvious to you that like they don't need a website, they need leads, and you have these leads, but they really want the website. I'm not going to fight them on it. I'm going to take their money. I'm going to give them a website. I'm going to earn their trust, and then I'm going to show them like, hey, I know we did this website, but what you really need is this, and here's why, and I've got that solution for you. Now you have the opportunity to really make an impact with that business owner, because you give them what they want first, okay? But yeah, Steven, great question. Go over here, see if I'm not missing anything. All right. So yeah, so we've got a couple of scripts in this document. We're going to add to this. So hopefully over the next week or so, this doc will get much larger. But I've got a couple in here. Here's that what I call the assumed warm market. This is one of those kind of like in the Facebook group where it's like, hey, you and I are in the same community, or hey, Sally, I know Sally, or like, hey, I saw people talking about you. Even just kind of like referencing a thing that happened in real life, on even if it's just like a Facebook thread and a Facebook post, it separates you from the spammers, right? So many like, hey, my services get you to #1 top page Google, like those kind of messages that are just like robotic, and you're like, oh man, it's just like cringeworthy, right? They get so many of those. In fact, my friend Jakob, who I asked you guys please don't reach out to Jakob. Just we're helping him. He'll be good. He's mentioned that he's had people who have reached out to him, and is like, he kind of explained the back and forth that he had with this individual who, is like an SEO specialist and a digital marketer. And it's so funny to hear from his perspective on why it was just like, to him, it was weird. He was like, yeah, it was just like, it was weird, like how they came in and started talking to me. And like, I didn't even really care. I didn't ask them for like their opinion or their help. And then they were asking me for my like contractor's license number to put on their site. And it was just, it wasn't that the person who was like prospecting Jakob was doing things wrong. They were just doing them out of order. And doing things out of order can be really detrimental to the sales cycle. And so getting somebody's permission first is really important. Some of these scripts can, and some of these questions can kind of help you with that. So build the list, then start doing your outreach, right? Start generating your interest. So that would be step 2. Step 2 is simply work the list, right? So you're going to want to start working the list, working your way down the list, making that outreach. No reason to try to what do they say? Push a rope uphill, or I forget what the analogy is, but sell them what they want. And if they say, hey, you know what, I'm not interested right now at the moment, that's why you need to have a big list so you can move on to the next one. Hey, no harm, no foul. Totally get it. Love hearing that you're super busy. If you have any overflow work, I actually have some guys, some people that might be able to take that on and get you kind of a little cut of that. You can always go find the client for that later, but turn it into a positive and just let them know that you're going to be around. So much of business, especially local business, is people knowing what you do and you just always being around. If you stick around long enough, eventually you're probably going to get that deal just with longevity, because you got to think, so many of these business owners have hired marketers, have hired people that have come and gone and promised them the world and given them something completely different. Okay. All right. Let's see here. Rob says, Gabe, how do you feel about going through the GMB list of niches and reach out to businesses that don't? Yeah, absolutely. It's another great prospecting method of building a list. So you can go in these specific communities. So just what Rob is showing here. So like if we were to do, the same thing. So if we were to go landscaping, Bend, Oregon, and then just do a quick search in kind of the maps or the map pack here. And I could kind of scroll down and see, okay, yeah, does Veeks have a website? Veeks doesn't have a website. So this might be a good one to add to the list. Plus they're pretty close to the top. Springtime landscape and irrigation does not. And what's great about this too, with some of the stuff we're going to show you, yes, there's a way to import photos into Snaps. Depending upon the security of the other person's website, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. It's kind of not up to us. It depends on how they have their site structured. We can get it a lot of times, but now you've got all these photos that you can go in and use. I'm not saying don't use their photos for your site. Use their photos to mock up their site that you might build for them. So yeah, absolutely is another great way to go build a list. Yeah, anything like this, is going to be a numbers game, absolutely. And if it's why I'm a big fan of really just kind of like selling through relationships and networks and serving. Not networking in kind of like a skeezy way and like always handing out your business card, but just being genuinely interested in the people that you're doing life with, and always sharing what you have new that's going on. Even if you've been in business for a week as your agency, and you see some friends, colleagues, whatever, acquaintances that maybe you hadn't seen in a while, you always get that question, what's new? Can them, oh, actually, yeah, I started this company. We actually just added on this whole other branch. We're doing website design services now as well too, specifically geared towards local, to help local businesses get more customers. It's pretty cool what we do. What have you been up to? Because one of two things is going to happen. You're probably not going to sell someone right there on the spot on a website, but you've opened that loop. you've given them enough information without kind of cramming it down their throat, and then you put it back on them to start telling them, because they're either going to say, oh my gosh, like I need that, or oh shoot, you know what, like Jerry, Jerry and I were just talking, and he totally needs a website. I should connect you guys. I'm like, oh yeah, that's awesome. And then they move on with the conversation because they really didn't care anyway. But at least that seed is planted. Okay. Wow, being strategic, winning is in the number. Yeah, it is 100%. All right. Going to get on that. Yeah, no worries, Andrew. Absolutely. I like that. Yeah, the check out the Pomodoro technique. It's really great. In fact, I've got one of these new gym. Oops, got one of these new gym timers that's meant for like workouts and stuff. But I'm going to start using that for my Pomodoro sessions as well too. Okay. Juan, what kind of approach and scripts to reach the potential customers? So yeah, a lot of times I like to just kind of like reach out with a question. I like to provide some context about why I'm reaching out or where I saw them. It's like, oh yeah, I think, we're in the same community. I saw that you in this Facebook group, people were recommending you. You must do great work. Are you guys taking referrals? Or hey, I saw you over in this Facebook group, and I actually do a lot of work in the community. So I wanted to check out your business. I saw your site. I actually, that's what I do. And I noticed a couple of things on your site. So I mocked this thing up for you. Would you have some time to go over it? Something along those lines. Okay. 100%. Find a way to save them money or get away from their pain. That's always the way to it. All right. Yeah. Bobby says, I saw so many crappy websites when doing my 100 due diligence, or companies that don't even have sites. Yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing too. So for those of you that are in kind of lead generation and SEO, and maybe are doing kind of some of this research into different local markets to kind of find where the opportunity is, you're not just doing due diligence for the sites that you're going to be building, you're doing due diligence for building a prospecting list as well too. And you should probably kind of keep that rolling at the same time. All right. Okay. Well, working method is exactly how I go through. That working method is exactly how I go through my 10 sites in one day. Yep. Somebody's asking, where do we find this spreadsheet? So depending upon where you're joining us, if you're joining us from our public Facebook page, do me a favor and head over to head over to our YouTube channel, which the shortcut to get is just snaps.ai/YT. That'll take you over to YouTube. Find this video on YouTube. The title of this video is Landing Website Deals with Free Tools. And then you'll see the links to the spreadsheet, the scripts, Google Doc, and then there's a couple other links in there as well too, because we're going to be talking about snaps here in a second, as well as AdSling. So that brings me into kind of the next piece. Let me just make sure we're on task here. Cool, awesome. So the next piece is going to be into the actual kind of like mock-up itself. And how do we do that? I'm not going to spend a ton of time on this because honestly, Snaps makes it pretty stinking easy. But all you're going to do is head over here into your Snaps account, right? And you can create, create a site. I'm going to go into, maybe I'll show you. Yeah, let me do this first. So let's go ahead and create a site. So let's say I was, we'll keep it with the garden niche. So let's say I'm going to look for this garden site here, and I'm going to select this and start building. And let's go back to my prospecting list here. Let's say we wanted to do one for this Sunrise HVAC company. Oh, that's right. They were an HVAC company, but whatever. Well, tomato. Any of the templates, obviously, the templates are not necessarily niche specific unless you're using the photos that are already in there, which are really good for like paid ads and things. But in this case, you're probably going to be swapping out some of these photos. All right, so I've got this template selected, and I'm going to head to content, import content, and I'm going to paste in that URL, sunrisehvac.com, and I'm just going to hit import. And we'll see if we get lucky. Looks like we did. Sweet. Awesome. So it found a bunch of photos. I'm just going to hit save. And I'm going to hit no here. This is basically asking like, hey, do you want us to map a bunch of those photos to certain places in this template, which I don't. We'll get into that later. But the important thing is really just getting the photos and images into the image library so I have something to work with. So now if I go to site content and manage images, when I open up the image picker, I should have this from old site section, which if I click on that and see, hey, here's all the photos from that HVAC company, right? So I can start using these on this mock. So, the first thing, maybe I'll change the background image up here in this header. So I'm just going to replace this. I'm going to choose site images. And, I'm going to choose from old site, not site images. There we go. And we'll pick one. We'll see if we got, I like this one. Yeah, there we go. We'll make your house cool in the summer. I don't know. Might work that a little bit better. Obviously, then I'm going to want to update things like the logo and the business information. And so the way I would do that is I would head to content and business info. And honestly, I would pull all that information from their existing site. So I'm going to look at this here, see if I get their phone number. So I'll just copy this phone number. It's Sunrise Mechanical Inc. or Sunrise HVAC, right? So I'm going to change that. We'll just call this Sunrise HVAC. And then let's say the phone number, I'm going to replace that as well too. And save. And then let's say I want to replace the logo. Let's see if we pulled in a logo. We did, sweet. So we'll pull in that logo. That may or may not be their actual logo. If it's not, I would probably spend the time to go and grab the actual logo. But you can see, sweet. Now we have their logo up there. If we have a phone number, yeah, so their phone number is showing up down here correctly, right? And so I would go ahead and mock these things up. I'd do the same thing with the gallery. I would probably end up, updating all of these images to images from their site. So you can see especially once you have, kind of somebody's buy-in and they've said, yeah, you know what, I've actually been needing a site. You can come in here real quick and kind of like put this whole new site together. At least, and again, this is not going to be like the finished product that you're going to deliver to them. The idea is to show and demonstrate, what it is that you do and to help that business owner kind of like literally see what it is that you can do for them. Because especially when it comes to any kind of digital work, if it's not in their craft, so you take an example of like HVAC. These teams, these guys, gals, these entrepreneurs, these business owners, they know heating and cooling, right? They know when it's time to replace the furnace, how to manage duct work, when you got to rip open a floor or not. Like they know all that stuff. And when you talk to them about why they need schema on their website, they're like, huh, what does that even mean? But if you can show them, if you can demonstrate, and this is kind of the age-old concept, even just with what's it called on TV, infomercials. With infomercials, why infomercials worked, because it was a constant sales pitch and people were demonstrating the product. The Sham Wow, if anybody remembers the Sham Wow, it was like this chamois that you could use forever and so many different things, or like the Cutco knives that you could cut steel with and it would still slice a tomato perfectly. It's because they're demonstrating that product over and over. You need a way to demonstrate your product. And this is a great way to do that. So you can show someone. So now let's say I've gone through and I've made the adjustments and things that I want to this particular site. This question came up earlier. People are like, oh, I just hit this preview, right? And then I have this link up here that I could send to the business owner. You do not want to do that. If you do that, they're going to have to log into Snaps and have access to this site. What you want to do is you actually want to generate a preview link. And you can do this again for free, 2 different ways. So way number one, if you're in the editor here, you go up to this little info and tools and you go to preview link. I like the one that says all devices, and I'll show you why here in a sec. You click copy. And now if I open up a new tab and paste that link in there, I have this really slick preview link that shows, all these different versions of the site in different device types, right? So I can make this a little wider for you so you guys can see all of them. I can toggle through, and if part of my pitch is the importance of having a mobile responsive site, I can show this business owner, how great their site would look on mobile and how fast it would load. And what's great about this too is it's a fully functioning prototype. So you can click through all these different pages and works just fine. Like, hey, you want to know what it looks like in landscape mode? There you go. Boom. We've got these click to calls. We got, everything working as it should. So this preview link up here in the URL, you can share this publicly. Anybody can see this without having to log in anywhere, which is fantastic, right? For our purposes, because now you have the ability to demonstrate. So you make your list, you start reaching out, you get somebody on the line that's interested in having a conversation with you. I would now get to the point of demonstration and put this together. Let me just check and make sure I'm not missing any questions that you guys have around kind of the preview link piece and being able to demonstrate. And again, you can do this for $0. You could set up a free Snaps account, start looking for business owners, prospecting, selling your face off, go find a handful that are interested in, mock up these sites and start selling them. And then as soon as they start paying you, now you have your money to fund your business, right? Okay. Tia says, whenever I import photos, the quality degrades. Is it just me? Again, I wouldn't worry too much about the quality of the photos. Again, a lot of that it depends upon how the content of their site is set up. Like with Snaps as an example, we use WebPM files, which is just a fancy way of saying, hey, we take your one photo, we convert it into many photos so that we can serve up a different resolution depending upon the device or place that people are coming to your website from. It helps with page load speeds. But there are some sites where this will not work at all, where you're going to plug in the import photos and they've got their site totally locked down and you're not going to be able to rip those photos out, which that's not the end of the world because Snaps has free photos that you can use. You can do some searches there in the free images and you can use any of those free images in your mockups. You can go to the competitor site itself and try to see if you can, screenshot or right click. Now, again, I want to be very careful to say here, I'm not saying to go screenshot or grab other people's photos to use on your sites or on other client sites. I'm saying to do this for the purpose of a mockup for them. So it's already their content. I feel totally comfortable doing that, or going to their GMB listing and downloading some photos and screenshotting some things. Yes, it might be a little bit of an extra step, but this this feature helps a ton. The other kind of hack is if you're working in the same kind of niche and industry and you find a site like we just did with that HVAC site that the import feature does work with, you could technically go and use that with other mockups as well too. Again, I would not use somebody else's images on an actual published site, but if you're using it for a mockup and a demonstration, I'll kind of, I'd leave that up to you. Okay, let's see here. See the FA schema. Awesome. Such a pleasure to see the FAQ schema on site recognized by Search Console. Love hearing that, Chuck. Which I'll take a quick moment just to say, hey, we actually just posted a new article to the blog today, a little more about schema. So if you have it over to the support.snaps.ai/schema, there was a live that we did a couple of weeks ago announcing that and talking about FAQ schema. So if you want to know more about that, and again, this is one of those things that you don't want to, when you're talking with a potential client and someone you're building a website for, You do not want to nerd out and get like too deep into the technical of what you're going to be doing for them with schema and FAQ and all this sort of stuff. You want to paint the picture around the results that you're going to get for them. But then you do want to let them know a little bit of like, hey, this is how we're going to do it. We use this thing called schema. Google understands it. The robots understand it. And we're going to make sure that that's set up on your site because I noticed that it's not right now. That's pretty much all that you need. Now they know they're dealing with a professional, and why they're going to want to pay you to build out their website. Okay, let me see if I missed any questions. Steven says, what's the preferred method of prospecting with this? I do Facebook Messenger, but they've really cracked down on spam, so it's hard to do quantity. Is email best then? Steven, I would do whatever you possibly can. So I'm a big fan of doing research when I'm building that prospecting list. I'm not just looking at, there was that one guy who I had mentioned had said, hey, I'm going to DM you about the HVAC thing, right? All that I had to go off of with him was just a Facebook profile. So for him, I'm probably going to send a Facebook Messenger message. And it makes sense, right? Because like contextually, I can say, hey, I'm in this Facebook group. I saw you in there. I wanted to reach out. Like, do you have a business doing this? Do you work in the community? Are you taking referrals, or do you just happen to know somebody that, I'm trying to get connected with other business owners in the community, right? You could reach out that way. Whereas if you have their website now, or their name of their company, there's a lot more that you can do. You can go to LinkedIn and you can search for employees that work there. You can look for obviously their website, their phone number, their email address, all those sorts of things. I would go with whatever kind of form of communication you can use to get to a decision owner. So yeah, email's great, Messenger's great, but you're absolutely right. You want to be, especially with Facebook, and sending, even kind of when I'm sending out mass messages to a lot of you guys, I'm doing it one-on-one with Facebook. But if I end up sending the similar kind of message too many times in a row, Facebook doesn't like that. And so they'll kind of like, they'll throttle you for a bit. So, I'd say reach out whatever way you possibly can. All right. What about hosting? Can you create private access for the business owner, or do you charge the hosting and the host the site in your account? Great question. So I'm going to cover this, Omar, when we get into the sales portion. So let me just scan real quick just to make sure I don't have any other specific kind of like around the mock-up piece. Did some FAQ schema on a few sites today. Going to get that in with all of them. Love it. Don't prospect first, chat first, trust first. Exactly. Yep. Be great to put a video online. You add a description of what you talk about. Yeah, I'm all about explainer videos. Those are great. Okay, we do have a question here. So Omar, I promise I'll come back to your question. TJ says, what was the URL you used for the preview? The preview URL needs a login. Do we need to publish? Let me go to this one more time. No, TJ, you do not need to publish to generate a preview link. This preview link is different than preview mode. Apologize, I know that's probably a little bit confusing. So over here, preview mode is for just a way for you to quickly in the editor see what your site looks like on multiple devices. I use this when I make my first pass on a site on desktop, and then I'm going over and making sure that it looks good on mobile. I will use preview mode. Do not use this link for preview mode. What you want to do is you want to generate an actual preview link. So again, the way you do that, the first way, you go up here to info and tools, preview link, and it's this preview link right here that you can copy and paste. The other way that you could do this, by the way, if you go back to your dashboard in Snaps, we make it real easy here. In fact, there's a couple things I want to show you that you can grab from the dashboard. So if I click on the little 3-dot menu, if I click preview, it's going to open a new tab. This is that same preview link. So you can actually grab the preview link directly from the dashboard and it would work there. Okay. The other thing I want to show you is if you're ever engaging with our support team and we ask for your site ID, that is also found in this 3-dot menu. You copy this little copy site ID, and that will copy that to your clipboard, and you can share that with us. The site ID is kind of like the serial number, the social security number of your website. It's a unique identifier for that particular website, so that if you have a website that has a similar URL or name, we don't get confused when we're helping out there. But yeah, preview link, click on the three dots, preview, it'll open it up in a new tab, copy and paste that link, which you will notice that the kind of structure for that is just app.snaps/preview/ this is the site ID. Okay, great questions. All right. Let's say a business owner is interested in a website build. What would be a fair price? All right, we're going to get into that right now. All right, let's get right into the selling stuff, because I want to share this, answer Russell's question and Omar's question. Put together a couple of things for you guys in AdSling. So some of you are beta testers in AdSling right now. If you are not, I want to give you a gift. I want to give you the opportunity to jump into AdSling. If you're watching this, this replay later and AdSling is live, great. You can go grab an AdSling account just at www.adsling.com. But if it's still in beta, if you're watching this with me live right now, the only way that you can get access to it is reaching out to our support team. So if you reach out to snaps.ai/chat, reach out to our support team. Anybody that is on the decade pack or higher, so 10 sites or more published on website on Snaps, I'll give you an AdSling Agency Lite account for the remainder of the beta for free, no cost, no nothing. Just let us know your Snaps login email, reach out to support chat. We just need to know your login email. We'll check to see what plan you're on with Snaps. If you've got the decade pack or higher, I'll get you into AdSling, no extra cost. Okay. If you don't have AdSling, you can obviously do this with other tools. You can do it on your own, or you could, like I said, if you have that decade pack, we can get you into AdSling. And I've tried to make this as easy as possible for you. So I've created a couple of templates, which if you are an AdSling beta user already, and you go up here to create from template, you're going to see we've got two new templates in here that you can pull from. So the first one is the site build proposal. The second one is the site build pricing. So the order of things again: step 1, make your list. Step 2, start reaching out. Step 3, once you have a business owner interested, go ahead and make that mock-up. That's probably the shortest time frame of anything, because it makes it real easy. You know how to get that mock-up now. And then step 4 would actually be presenting to that business owner. So rather than just like sending them a preview link, you could do that. You could send them a preview link. I always like to, maybe send them a screenshot like, hey, I would love to go over this with you and show you what I've done. When's a good time to chat? And maybe I just send them a screenshot of the preview link, right? Because then what I'm going to want to do is I'm going to want to go in here and create a proposal. So in AdSling, I just click this little create proposal button. It's going to spin up from this template. I've already got it kind of laid out for you. I'm a big fan of having a good hook on the first page of your deck or your slide. Is your website losing you jobs? Or this could be, appointments. This could be, bookings. This could be clients. So I would tailor this to kind of like whatever kind of service it is or business owner that you're reaching out to. But is your website losing you X? I can just click on here and change this to leads by Gabe. So maybe that's my business name. And then we were reaching out to, it was Sunrise HVAC. So everything's all dialed in for me already on here. If I want, I could change the colors and things. But I'm just going to roll through. This second slide that I've got says, hey, you got 15. This is just a little bit of stats. Once I hook them with that first slide, hey, is your website losing you clients? One of my favorite decks that I put together previously was it was something about how much money you're leaving on the table. We were partnering with people that already had email lists, and it had something to do with how much money are you leaving on the table every month with your email list or something like that. It's like, oh shoot, because if you ask people like, hey, do you need a website? They're like, no, I'm good, bro. But if you ask them, is your website losing you clients? Like they're immediately now, oh shoot, I don't know. No, what are you talking about? No, okay, but I'm going to look and see, what Susan has for me next. So I'm going to go on to the next page here. On this next page, I really want to kind of hammer in like, what is the problem? And the problem on the website thing is, hey, you've got 15 seconds or less to capture someone's attention. Uh, and there's there's a really great article I found that just talking about, here's the 3 reasons why someone's going to bounce from your website. And as someone who has worked on, I don't know how many hundreds and hundreds of ad campaigns, websites, landing pages, funnels, you name it, this really kind of does break it down and simplifies it into the 3 reasons why someone, when they visit your client's website, why they would bounce. And whether that means that's a prospect who is coming to that website for the first time because they're just now interested and they're trying to find someone to like, service their furnace, or they got a referral for this HVAC company and are now checking to see, like, what do they do? Do they look legit? Either way, you want to make sure that you have a good first impression. So the first is missed expectations. So somebody thinks, they're coming to your website, they think they're getting one thing, but they get something completely different. It's the clickbait stuff, right? Where it's like, oh, get 6-pack abs, and then you show up and they're, I don't know, selling you a TV or an MLM or something like that. I don't know. But those missed expectations. So what they thought they were getting, they are not getting. And so that's really important when you are building websites for your clients. That's why the homepage, anything above the fold at the top of the site, is going to be crucial for being very, very clear. You don't want to get cute on these things. If you're Google or Nike or Apple, you can afford to be cute with your marketing. But if you're in local business, you need to be like crystal clear, like 2nd grade reading level. This is what we do. This is how you buy it from us, right? Second is a bad user experience. They couldn't use their site the way that they wanted to. And believe me, I run into this all the time because I get feedback from you guys on how what you're doing in Snaps and what you love about it, what you don't love about it. Obviously I can't appease everyone, but we are trying to build this platform in such a way that you're able to use it the way that you want to. And a website's much the same. So it's like, oh, if they were expecting this button when they click it for it to, go to a contact form or open up a form or something like that, and it looks like a button, but they click on it and nothing happens, they're going to get frustrated and leave, right? Or there's confusing information. They don't know what they're supposed to do on the site. So if there's no call to action, like, oh, there's just a bunch of information, but like, what's your process? What do I got to do next? So this is a really good slide for that. And I this is one of those things as you're presenting with a business owner, you can just you can gloss over this real briefly, but you do want to kind of hammer it in like, hey, these are some of the things I noticed. And just so you know, I know like you're great at what you do. This is what I do and what I've noticed where a lot of business owners are leaving money on the table because they don't realize these things are happening with their website. And I just wanted to show those to you. Sometimes just by you painting the problem clearly, the business owners are going to assume that you have the answer if you're able to articulate the problem very clearly. Now I've got this other slide here, and I want to show you a cool little hack that I like to do with these preview links. Okay, so let's say we've got this site that we've mocked up here. What I'm going to do, I'm actually going to take a screenshot. So I'm taking a screenshot as we speak, and then I'm going to download that to my computer. And I'm going to upload that into AdSling as like the background image of this particular slide. All right, so I'm going to download. Okay, so to do that inside of AdSling, you just go into this slide. It's set up as a background image. So I'm just going to go to background, photo, and we're going to replace it. So I'm going to choose upload. I go down to my screenshots, and it should be the most recent screenshot. There it is. So I'm going to upload this, and then AdSling will let me kind of position it wherever I would like. And I probably could have like I probably would redo this screenshot just so that I would have like the little buffer on the edge. I would try to get the dimensions a little better, maybe like leave a little more margin, but for purposes now, I'm just going to hit apply background. And then you see I've got this live preview at GabrielRyan.co/alpha. I'm a fan of like putting my brand on everything, right? So you all should have an agency site in Snaps. If you don't have one, get one up right away. I've got my, personal site, GabrielRyan.co. So if I head over here, I'm going to take this preview link. Okay, so this is the preview link that I'm going to use for the customer. I'm going to copy that. Snaps has another feature where we can do URL redirects. So if I go to URL redirect, I'm going to go add new redirect, and I'm going to set this to an external link. So I'm going to say, hey, if somebody comes to GabrielRyan.co/sunrise, which is the name of the company, I want to do a 301 redirect to this preview link. So I'm going to add that link. I'm going to republish the site. Okay. So check this out. We go back to AdSling over here. So now if I said, all right, here's the URL, GabrielRyan.co/sunrise. If I pop that into tab, it's going to redirect me to the preview link. Now, again, is this necessary to close the deal? No, not at all. But does it make you look a little more polished when you send out your presentation and you have a branded link with a preview for them? Are they going to care that it redirects to this app.snaps link? Probably not. But it looks pretty slick when it's in your presentation, right? So now you've got that. I would change my leads by Gabe. I would change that down here as well too. I've got my proposal. This next page goes into just kind of like a basic, like, hey, here's kind of some of the things that we're going to include for you on this in this website build. Here's what our process looks like. People like to know, what's your process for doing this. And then I like a good call to action slide at the end. Hey, ready to grow your business with a new website? Call or text Gabriel at this number. Now, what's killer about AdSling is you can actually go ahead and export. So I can export this as a presentation link. So if I just click presentation link and I want to call this website proposal for Sunrise HVAC. And let's say I want them to also be able to download a PDF of this. I'm going to click allow PDF download and I'm going to generate a link. It does take a little bit. We're exporting in high resolution all these different images and things. So it's compiling all that. It's uploading it to the cloud, and then it's going to give you a link that you could use and share with your client, which again, you could do another personalized or URL redirect from your agency site if you'd like, or you can just use the link that we give you. So here you go. Now I'm going to copy this link. I could shoot this over in any sort of message, email, messenger, text, you name it. And now when I'm doing my Zoom call with my client, I can walk them through this like, hey, hey, Sam, I wanted to thank you so much for setting the time up here. I know I sent you over that screenshot. I wanted to go over a few things with you. Don't worry, you'll be able to ask any questions that you'd like. I just want to run you through a couple of things I found with your business and then show you, what we've done for you. You might walk through a couple of these slides. When you get to this preview link is maybe when you're going to say, oh yeah, let me show you what I actually built for you here. So we're just going to pop open that tab. So you can pop that open and then walk them through, the site and what you'll be able to kind of drive. So if you didn't build out the entire site, but you built a couple pages, you can navigate and do a tour and show them the parts that you want them to see. So you're kind of guiding as you go, right? So that's the proposal. I've got one other thing, and I'm going to get into pricing on how you might want to price this stuff out and go in for the close when you have somebody that's interested. But let me see what questions we've got around the proposal stuff. Okay. The extra step is pretty worth it. I'd say, yeah, absolutely. I mean, if it's going to help you close the deal, then I would say it's always worth it. Okay. All right. Let me scroll down to the bottom here. Joseph says, might get a few bites out of this group applying to be your personal assistant. Hey, I'll take it. I am hiring right now. So if you head to my Instagram, you can find all the details over there. It's just at Gabriel Ryan. I desperately need some help. We have a growing team. Things are cruising. So if you're a workaholic and you want to be a part of a growing team and you're super organized and detail oriented, I would love to hear from you. So check out my Instagram. Bobby says, "Whoa." Would you send the, so Rob says, is a great question. Would you send this proposal in the first email to prospect or only once they've shown interest? Yeah, I would not send them too much information until you've got that permission marketing again, until they've engaged with you. Because one, as you see, even me doing it real quick, there is some work involved, not a whole lot of work, but there is some work involved. And so I would rather get somebody's interest first and get them on the phone and to be able to walk through with them. The things that I'd probably be willing to send over before I have like genuine interest would be like, hey, a little bit of back and forth answering some questions, and then maybe a single screenshot of that preview. Like, hey, I mocked this thing up for you, because that in and of itself is like, oh, that's pretty cool. Yeah, yeah. Are you free later this week? Because then you have the bait out there where you're like, hey, I created this thing for you. I'd really like to give you a tour through it. I'd really like to show you what we can do. Worst case scenario, you learn a couple of things that you can take away and do with your existing site. Best case scenario, we end up getting to work together. Okay. All right. Matt says, what is AdSling? AdSling is like an online design tool, online Photoshop. So we've been working on it kind of behind the scenes. It's been the kind of like stepchild to all the Snap stuff, just because Snaps has really taken precedent. But you're going to be seeing more about AdSling. The two are integrating, and like I said, anybody that has on the Decade Pack or higher, we're going to give you the light version of AdSling, which will allow you to get in there, use any of our templates, design, postcards, social media graphics, website graphics, invoices, presentations, like you just saw, print, digital, you name it, any kind of graphical media that you could imagine you would need is what AdSling does. Okay. So I'm going to get into Omar's question, and then somebody else had a question about pricing too. So Omar says, what about hosting? Can you create private access for the business owner, or do you charge the hosting and host the site in your account? Okay, let's open up this other template here. So I'm going to go create again and create from template. So what I would probably do when I'm going into a meeting with a business owner, I would probably have the two things prepared. I would have the proposal to go through with them, and then I would have this kind of the pricing done, which is really, I guess, more like the actual proposal itself, right? Which this is just a 2-page and 8.5 by 11 deal. So I can click on this guy. It's currently grouped, so I'm going to ungroup it. And then we'll just name this Sunrise HVAC. And this is me. So, leads by Gabe. And then we've got the second page here. So I've got kind of an outline, and this is just a starting point. Hit up some of your peers, hit up some of your mentors, some of the coaches, in the training group that we've got and elsewhere in your local market, and see like how are they putting together these deals? What are they including? I know some people that charge per page, other people do like package type rates. Some of you are probably going to use this kind of a business, one, to fuel your business, but there's that secondary motivation of having like generating some clients that you can then grow with, right? And so the ultimate goal is probably to do lead generation and advertising and paid traffic and other things with them, as opposed to just a single web design project. So you may have some other motivations here, so you can kind of work with the pricing accordingly. But you can see here, I have, looks like I'm going to change this up a little bit with the sizing on some of this. But what I would suggest is starting with kind of something like this, because again, you got to think from the perspective of the business owner. They don't care about a website. They care about a result. But you have to show them how you're getting to that result. And so we say, hey, our number one goal is to help you get more customers. The path we take there is up to you. And in this instance, I'm providing a business owner two options. So we're saying, hey, I just showed you, and I just kind of demonstrated some of the things that we can do for you. Here's what I'd like to do. I'd like to give you a 7-page website, that includes a home page, a handful of services pages, a contact us page, a thank you page, and kind of your privacy and TOS pages. Here's the word count on those. Here's why that's important, because Google cares about the kind of content that you have in there. So we're going to put some time into some keyword research and making sure, we're going to work with you and make sure that it's on brand and all this stuff. And then, like, if any of you were on the training that we did last night, Damien was talking about this. He'll do this and he'll always over deliver. He'll add a couple more pages. He'll add some more content. You want to over deliver on this, but like, this is where you're setting the expectation with the client. And then you're saying, okay, like, in addition to that, I'm also going to go in and set all your site titles and descriptions. Those are the little things, when you do a Google search and it shows up, it's the letters that are in blue, and it's the words right below it, to make sure that you've got good information there, because that's what makes sure that when you do show up in search, that someone's interested enough to then actually click and go through to your website. So we're going to make sure that's all dialed for you, right? And obviously Snaps makes that super easy with kind of our SEO settings. Local business schema, you don't need to know what that is all about, but hey, it's just to ensure that you've probably heard of Google bots crawling your site. They're out there all over the web crawling your site, so they can put you into the right category, so that they know you're an HVAC company, that they know that you're working in, Bend, Oregon, and they know how to kind of like categorize your site, which also helps you show up in those rankings. Usually that requires some coding and a developer, which, outside of Snaps, it does. There's a lot of different tools and things that you have to pay for, or unless you just write code yourself to get schema going on a site. With Snaps, we have a couple of places that you can do it, like, super simple, right? Photo optimization, like, hey, I'm going to make sure that, all your photos are named well, whatever it is. So explaining this stuff, like why it's important to the business owner. And then I'm always a fan of throwing in bonuses too. So, I might go in here, I'm going to ungroup this real quick. Is that one? Yeah. So I'm going to say, hey, you know what? I'm a Bend business owner too, because you are. We're going to throw in some of these bonuses. I'm actually going to throw in an FAQ schema. So if you've got, if you can get me, 5-6 of the top questions that you get from your customers, we'll include that on your homepage. Here's why that's important. Schema, again, it's that thing where Google knows. So if you've ever, asked your Siri or your Google Home a question, the answers that it's providing are based on what's called schema. And so if we can start getting you into those kinds of searches, that's going to help you out as well too. And then, hey, I'm going to do a, blog page for you, and blog post. And this kind of helps set up the sale too, for how I'm going to show you how to price this thing out. And then I would recommend giving them two options. Saying, hey, option number one, this site is totally portable. It could be yours. You can take the keys, and honestly, the platform that we use makes it super easy for you. You don't need to be a coder or developer to make changes and things. You probably could do it yourself, or bring someone on that could do it for you. $2,500 one time. You are going to have to pay the hosting after that. But $2,500 one time, and you're good to go. We take 50% upfront to start the job, and then the other 50% when you're happy and we're done. And then obviously, if we want to work together on other things in the future, we can. But then you're off and on your own. So that's option number one. A lot of my clients, what they like to do is they like more to partner with someone like me. And even though the platforms can be simple enough, and maybe honestly it's probably just simple because I'm so used to doing it. I built a lot of websites. We've chosen this platform that we use for a reason. But if you'd like to kind of partner with us and have our ongoing help, I'd be happy to do this for $250 a month. You can cancel at any time. There's no commitment. We'll get started on this thing right away. Probably take us 3 to 4 weeks to get your site fully done, and it's $250 a month. That's also, by the way, going to include the hosting, so there's no extra costs on there at all. That's going to cover the cost of the site, and then we'll stay on as kind of your web person ongoing, indefinitely. And once we get past, maybe even end up including something like, hey, that includes one new blog post a month, any updates that we need to make to your site. A good example, most recently, actually very applicable. So that accordion widget that we have in Snaps is the one that we did update to allow FAQ schema. So that's the kind of thing where it's like you're not having to constantly update plugins like you do with WordPress, but we are coming out with new features and new things. In fact, as Google rolls out its update here mid-June is kind of what we're expecting. We have a big kind of update planned that will be sharing what that means for you guys who are using Snaps and what you need to know going into some of these updates so that you're prepared and can kind of like help a lot of these business owners who are going to be struggling and things might be shifting around on them. You're going to be the person that they could contact. So you can offer this to a business owner and say like, hey, you've always got a person in your back pocket. Plus now you're not having to fork out $2,500 right now for this site. You know, you're only paying $250 a month and we'll stay with you. And you could put some stipulations on there too if you wanted, like, hey, there's a 6-month minimum or 3-month minimum or whatever, something along those lines. But I can guarantee you, you're probably getting a lot of business owners who are going to say, hey, well, shoot, I can pay $250 a month. That's pretty easy, especially if you're kind of, it's called a risk reversal. You're taking that risk away from me and saying I can cancel at any time. Now, does that leave you open to potentially getting burned and only making $250 and doing a website? It does. But I think, if you do a good job in the sales process and you take care of people, I think that's going to happen a lot fewer times than what you're going to gain from it. Because honestly, if this is all you spent your time on, let's say you've got no job, no money, no nothing, you've got to get your business rolling. You're like, shoot, I know I want to be Century Club. I want 100 of my own properties out there. I have no money that I can even put into this thing. If you put your nose to the grindstone and you just got like one client a week for the next 4 weeks, now all of a sudden you have 4 clients that are paying you $250 a month. That's $1,000 a month. That covers your Century Club subscription. And now you're free rolling and you can put your time and money into the assets that you own and control. So just a kind of a framework that you can start with. And with regards to pricing, this is one of those things I would always test too, and kind of see what's working with your market, what's working with your clients. So long answer to a short question, but Omar, hopefully that helps. And yeah, the way Snaps is built, I would 100% recommend that you build the hosting costs in and bill your clients for that and provide an additional service in kind of managing that site for them, but also at the same time, letting them know that it is totally portable and flexible, that if you guys ever did part ways for whatever reason, they could take their site with them. You're not going to hold it hostage like, other developers and things might do with, some self-hosted sites, which we've seen so often. So hopefully that makes sense. I'm sure I missed a bunch. I'm gonna start at the bottom and roll up, and we'll if you have questions, please drop them, maybe copy and paste them into the comments again in case I missed it, and we'll get through this. And we're probably going to wrap here pretty early. I'm going a little bit longer than I wanted to tonight, but hopefully this is kind of a little more in depth and gives you something that you can take action on like literally this week and start making cash with. Okay. Ariel says, if they go the 2,500 and done route, do you transfer their Snap site to a different account for them? Yeah, absolutely. So if I would probably still honestly try to keep them on as a client after the fact. So let's say they go, oh yeah, you know what? I would rather just like own it myself. I'll pay you the 2,500. So maybe you take your 1,250 up front, you get to work, you build the site, you get your other 50% when it's done. You can make them an offer at that point too. It doesn't mean just because they said yes to this one thing on day one that they can't say yes to something different, on day 30 when you delivered it. So maybe you make them an offer. Hey, you know what? I would love to work with you on some of these other things. I've actually been working on some leads in this industry. I've got these phone numbers that are kind of sprinkled all over the web, and I'm not sure if it's been great working with you. I'd love to do more of this. Would you be interested in XYZ, whatever? And if that's the case, and you have that opportunity to maybe then kind of like wrap that back in, be like, hey, you already paid for the site itself, but if you wanted me to kind of like help and continue managing this for you, my base price for that, it's literally super cheap. It's $29 a month. That covers the hosting. I'll make sure that your site is up. It's a 99.9% uptime guarantee. I'll make sure that it's up, that it doesn't go down, which by the way, that's the guarantee that Snaps makes. And you can literally, just have them cut you a check, $29 a month. And depending upon what level you're at with snaps, I mean, that's going to be more than any other amount that you're paying. So you're going to be net positive on it. And they have someone that they can call. You could even offer other packages beyond that and say, hey, if you want us to, add a blog post a month, that's $150 a month, or, whatever. Or if you want us on call to be able to make, up to 5 revisions a month, that's $97 a month. You could kind of work with some of the pricing on that. But if they said, no, I just want the site, yeah, all you would do is reach out to our support chat. Again, it is snaps.ai/chat. And we can walk you through the process on transferring that site from your account to your client's account. We are building in the client management feature, so you will be able to do this on your own. But currently, as the way it sits, if you have a Snap site and you have 2 users that have different paid published sites, that site really should only be in one or the other. Now, it's fine to have team members and VAs and things collaborate on accounts, because your team members and VAs usually don't have a paid account. They don't have a Snaps plan. But if you want to transfer it to a client who's going to put it on their own billing, we would want to completely transfer it, meaning you now don't have access to that site in your dashboard, just the client does. And that could be some leverage that you could use with them. Like, hey, if you want me to have access and be able to continue to help you with this, I'd be happy to do that. It's my fee for that's $29 a month, or whatever it might be. Okay. Yeah, Andrew says, I like that with the second option for monthly charge. Me too, my friend. I mean, that's the whole idea here. It's like, hey, how can we start generating some recurring billing for you guys on something that would normally be just like a one-time hit? Honestly, even though it might be a little more risky, it might take me a little longer to get my money, I would almost rather do, $200, $300, $500 a month, as opposed to that big hit all up front at once. Can we use Snap's preview URL for running Google AdWords during prospecting? Nope, you cannot. And that wouldn't work anyway. So if you're going to be using the preview, sites do go away after a certain amount of time, but if you're going to be using it, it's really intended for demonstration and not for an actual live site. Now, if you publish the site, you could technically use the generic domain that we've got, which is just like verifiedsecure.net as a domain for, a Google AdWords or Facebook campaign, something like that. If you didn't want to go through the work of connecting a custom domain or buying a custom domain for an ad campaign that's only going to run for, a week, you could do that, but no, not with the preview URLs. What's a good way to show business owners your presentation slides? Do you send it over to them so they can read it, or do you go through it with them on a call? I always go through it with them on a call. I might send it in advance of the meeting, 30 minutes or so, just so they have it before, but I really don't even like to do it that much further beyond that. So in terms of what I would send in advance of that call or that meeting, I might send them a little screenshot of what the preview link looks like, and then, answer some questions and things. But it's like, hey, I would really love to give you kind of a tour through what I've built for you and show you kind of some of my thought process. I also have some questions about some of this for you. So like, when's a good time for us to chat? And then when you go and confirm that appointment, it's like, hey, here's some things that I would love to go through with you today, like, on our Zoom, or if you could have it, you pulled up even just on your phone, like, or if we're talking on the phone, if you can have it pulled up on your computer, whatever, I can walk you through it. And then obviously they now have something they can take away with them too, which I think is more important, that they have that, kind of after the fact. All right. What is the chat support for Snaps? My agency site is being a jerk. Oh no. All right, Bobby. Yeah, we can help you for sure. And Calvin's been in there all day crushing it. It's just snaps.ai/chat. And that will redirect you over to Facebook Messenger, which is where that we're currently doing chat, but we're going to be moving that away from Messenger hopefully very soon. Andrew says, this is regarding the personal assistant thing. You do it, but he's not that organized. I appreciate the honesty. If we don't have the decade pack, with Snaps yet. How can we access this presentation? You could rewatch the live and try to rebuild it on your own. But that's the only way to get access to those presentations right now. Is this something you email the prospect? Yeah, I would shoot them over that presentation. Kind of to Russell's question, I would shoot them over the presentation, in advance of the meeting, and then preferably actually go through that presentation as well as the preview link, as well as then that kind of like final pricing to make the offer. Okay. All right. So let's see here. What's the cost of a client to have their own account on Snaps? We're working on that right now because we don't actually have single site licenses. It's actually a lot more expensive for us to support a single site user than it is for someone to have a group of sites, which is why we built Snaps for agency owners and entrepreneurs. But we're realizing we do want to make it flexible in case a client does need to go and just have a single site. It's probably going to be something in the like $19 a month range, and we'll probably just have a monthly option for that for a single site license. Gracious, the preview links, I should know this. I forget how long it is before they expire, but as long as you use that within the week, you should be fine. And then you can always go back in and generate a new preview link from a new site. The preview links are not meant to be this kind of like forever service that you're using in lieu of a site. We're not charging for it. It's meant to be used in the kind of like the editing and the creative process and the sales process. So use it for that. All right. Bobby says, awesome information. Thanks again. Yeah, absolutely. All right, y'all. Well, this one was fun. Remember, I would love to hear in the comments your kind of like favorite sales scripts that have worked for you. I've talked to, a lot of people just over the last week or two, honestly, even since last week's when we were chatting with Ryan, who had scored a couple of deals, which if you haven't watched last week's live, go back and watch that, because Ryan runs a successful agency, has for I think 5 or 6 years now. Works with a lot of local business owners, just picked up a couple of new web deals this last week. We got another guy in the group who I was on with last night, Damien, who is working on some of these national deals and has been landing a lot of web deals as well too. Bo, who was with us a couple of weeks ago, just mentioned he just landed his first web deal specifically on Snaps, which is exciting. So I would love to hear, where are you finding, how are you finding your clients, and what's that kind of like initial prospecting script that you're using to get their interest in a way that's not like, scheming or salesy, in a way that is genuinely interested in helping out that business owner. How are you getting their attention? Go ahead and drop that in the comments so that we can share that, so we can beef up that sales script doc. I'll be pulling together some of my kind of like VIPs and some of my favorites too. I just didn't have as much time as I wanted to in prep for this. I got all the other templates and things dialed for you, but I really do want to beef up those scripts, because it does start with that piece first, building the list and then starting that outreach. The tech, again, we got the tech handle for you. Don't worry about the tech. I know sometimes it can be that's where you want to start, but really this whole idea, the whole beauty behind like what I just showed you, and what guys and gals like Damien and Bo and and the like are doing. Alex is another one. The beauty behind it is the fact that they're out there talking to people about what they do, about how they can help them. They're selling, they're prospecting, they're finding new businesses. That's where the energy and the money is found in this kind of a model. So drop your scripts down in here. I'll pick a couple of winners by the end of the week on Friday, and you'll have something good waiting for you because of your contribution. And then, yeah, like I said, head over to snaps.ai/YT to go to our YouTube channel. Look for this video, Landing Website Deals with Free Tools. You'll find the links that we talked about, how to get access to the scripts, the Google Sheet, AdSling, and the like. But until next time, All right. Have a great rest of your Wednesday. We'll catch you later. See you guys. Bye.